This is Arkansas 11, KTHV Little Rock. Travelin Arkansas, the best of Dovish.
Good evening, I'm Chuck Dovish. When we began traveling Arkansas some 9 years ago, little did we know the kind of response we would get. But Arkansas being so varied, not only in the terrain, but the people as well, we were welcomed with open arms in the true Arkansas fashion. As a result, we've been able to bring into your living rooms the other side of the state you won't find in the morning headlines. Our only job has been to bring you the warmth of Arkansas through its people. As the year draws to a close, we'd like to present to you some of our more memorable stories while traveling in this great state. So, gather the kids around because this is one of those rare moments in which you will learn something from a television show. Many a country lane such as this one has taken us to people willing to share their lives and their thoughts. Our first story takes us to a fella they call Country Lane who knows his trout fishing. Trout fishing in the early morning fog on the White River. It's an experience that only a fella by the name of Country Lane can best describe.
When a lot of us, try to professionally put anything to this river, which is the only way you can explain it, it's just Mother Nature's largest tranquilizer.
Country Lane's real name is Paul Lane, but when listening to him, you can understand why he's called Country. He's been a favorite character with many out-of-state tourists when they come to Miller's Float Service in Cotter.
When people come down here and they've heard of hillbillies, stuff like that, they've got to see some. Well, everybody will run to Walmart's and buy them a nice pair of jeans and a good shirt, and dress up and look like the ones in town. So I thought, well, I better get me some overalls, Now, I get my picture taken a lot of times, and of course, I really make good pictures when I catch them about ready to click the film or something. I'll do this or something, and man, they think, boy, I've got a jewel here,
Country Lane says this is the perfect occupation for someone who's retired and doesn't know what to do with himself.
This is something that's really enjoyable. Of course, I have problems now and then, and things will break down and stuff like that, like it does everywhere else. When it does, and I get discouraged, I take one of them old chairs and pull it over on the riverbank and just shut everything down, sit there and look across the river. That's the most, I don't know, it's the most comforting.
Best therapy around.
That's right.
So if you feel you're in need of a little therapy, visit Country Lane on the White River. A new you is guaranteed. Arkansas is well known for the longevity of the people who are born here. And along with that longevity is wisdom about life, all 106 years of it. Making a living on the Delta in eastern Arkansas back in the late 1800s was plain hard work, no other way around it. Life was different, the world was different. James Williams Garfield Wiggins remembers he's still living on the same land he was born 106 years ago. James Wiggins was born near Forest City in 1879. His father fought in the Civil War. James farmed most of his life. He says he didn't actually quit working until he was 104. Living to be 106 was something he really didn't plan on.
There were so many people dying. It was a boy or a girl or something when I come along. I didn't think I was going to even be able to be 100, but I was blessed to reach the age of 100. And from then on up to now, why, I just tried to be thankful and not get into no trouble. Now, I never have had a fine to pay, never was arrested for any mischievous things that I did, nothing like that.
Other than hard work and eating what you raised on the farm, are there any other secrets to a long life?
Now, the Bible says this, says, for your obedience, your days would be long upon the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. So, I reckon that's why I'm here.
James was a music teacher for 20 years, and he can still bellow out a good bass with daughter Rosetta Wiggins. Several times in the past year, we've had to travel to places where even our four-wheel drive couldn't go. Join us for all the high adventure outings coming up next. The National Aeronautics and Space Administration is looking for a journalist to go up in the space shuttle. Earlier this year, though, we got the scoop with our own space shuttle mission. When I was a boy, I always dreamed of becoming an astronaut. Well, here at the Mid-America Museum in Hot Springs, your astronaut dreams can be fulfilled for a day. Join us as we lift off in the space shuttle in search of the right stuff.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And liftoff of Discovery, and the first flight to retrieve and return satellites from space, and the shuttle has cleared the tower.
The days of Buck Rogers are no longer some far-fetched idea. Space travel is definitely the reality of today. The Mid-America Museum is offering this experience with a full-scale model of the space shuttle cockpit. It's an elite exhibit which has been displayed at prestigious sites such as the Paris Air Show, the Joseph Fleet Museum in San Diego, and the 1984 World's Fair in New Orleans. After April, the cockpit will be taken back to home base at Cape Canaveral for permanent display. But in the meantime, it is here for the adventuresome to experience the ultimate frontier, man's exploration of the heavens, to boldly go where no man has gone before. Houston, this is Dovish. We've made contact. The Space Shuttle Orbiter has landed. Thank you, fellas, for an excellent mission. The Chevy Blazer will just never be the same. This next story takes us back in aviation a few years when the wind was in your face and the flying was by the seat of your pants. We're going to take you back in history to World War I, to the days of the flamboyant Baron Manfred von Richthofen, leader of the German fighter squadron who personally downed 80 Allied aircraft. He was dubbed the Red Baron because of his bright red plane. Well, today, the lost art of barnstorming lives on with the Red Baron Squadron. And we're going to take you on a ride which I guarantee you'll never forget. Okay, boys, contact. The Red Baron Squadron gives about 3,000 people a year across the country a ride of a lifetime. Photographer Ken Hoyle and I decided to accept the challenge.
Your charge, it's something that not everybody does. It takes a certain amount of skill that a lot of people don't have, so it gives you kind of a charge that way. What most everybody gets a charge from is the G and all that. At short order, you don't feel it. It just isn't a factor there. But it gives you a lot of satisfaction just making the airplane go exactly where you want, exactly when you want it.
Everything that we do, we've practiced hundreds of times before, so there's not really anything uncertain about the outcome. But there is a certain satisfaction in the precision. It's very much the same that a race car driver would have by going around a course in record time. Every time we do a maneuver, we're trying, just for personal pride reasons, to do that maneuver the best that we've ever done it. And so when we do a sequence of maneuvers and we do them well, you know, it makes us feel good.
The legend of the Red Baron lives on.
Boy, I tell you, it's good to have both feet back on the ground. And as if all that wasn't enough, we went back for more in another contraption.
We went up, up, and away in Sheila Thomas's beautiful balloon she calls Beach Ball. With the Henderson Junior High Field in West Little Rock getting smaller and smaller, I was wondering what I was doing in this wicker basket anyway.
What's the thrill that you personally get out of something like this?
It's just so peaceful. It takes so much out of you, or your inner self, to fly the balloon. And then when you land, it's feels like such an accomplishment. But also it's the beauty in that so many people can enjoy it. And I've met so many wonderful people by doing it because it is unique. You know, it makes for an interesting story.
Is an adventure when you hover above people down below and they holler up to you, and it's...
Oh yeah, it's great. Because you know they're enjoying it, and I'm enjoying it.
Since we are traveling with the wind, I guess you just never know where you're going to land.
You never know, Chuck. That's one of the thrills of it. It's just you can take off from one spot and think you're going to land. You can tell your chase crew to go to a certain spot and land up 150, 80 degrees different. I've landed in trees, almost in a lake. Never anything serious, just...
Well, let's not land on no trees today.
We won't today.
But as we began skimming treetops, I was beginning to wonder. Sheila, though, kept on assuring us not to worry.
It's really a real safe sport if you just appreciate it for what it is and take the extra precautions to take, you know, the weather, learn the weather, and just don't fly on, you know, unnecessary days. Just use it strictly as a sport, because you're wind dependent. You're in God's hands.
In God's hands we were as we finally landed in the parking lot of Christ the King Catholic Church.
Bend your knees.
Okay. In front. All right.
Woo! Let me kiss the ground. Let me kiss the ground. We run into some unusual occupations during our travels, but there's one woman who has them all beat. Walking in the sky.
With a firm stance on top of a biplane, 24-year-old Ruthie Blankenship of Moscow, Arkansas begins another average workday for her. Ruthie and her husband, stunt pilot Bob Blankenship, perform at air shows throughout the country with Ruthie's wing riding act.
Ruthie, did Bob talk you into it, or did you talk yourself into it?
He told me he'd marry me. No, not really. I think I volunteered for something I didn't know I was volunteering for. But I went up the first time and liked it. And then the more we did it, the more I liked it. And people say I'm wild and crazy. So I love it. And it's fun.
You know, being in the cockpit is one thing, but being on top of the wing is another.
It's very windy. And I used to get real scared, very nervous when you'd go upside down. But now I like going upside down better, really, than I do going straight, because it's not so much pressure on my neck, to tell you the truth. But it's fun.
Ruthie keeps insisting that it's fun, but even her husband wouldn't want to be the one on the wing.
Well, I tell you what, I'm sitting back there in a nice, comfortable seat with a roof over my head, and I look up there and see her sticking out in the wind. It's a weird feeling, I tell you. I'm comfortable. I just wonder how she is up there on the wing, because I'm not getting up there. I'm just a pilot.
I'm learning to be a pilot. We're going to have to trade places one of these days.
She says.
Uh-huh. But the main thing that really makes me nervous, I'm more nervous standing on the ground watching his solo act and saying, I'm up there. I do that? That scares me worse than being on there doing it.
Now that's something I will never try. Coming up next, a visit to an Arkansas family farm. The family farm situation has been in the news quite a lot this year. It's a story of the America that once was, and hopefully still can be.
I feel like there's a definite need for the farmer, for the family farmer, and we provide food for this country and many other countries.
Ken Orlichek of Keogh is part of a vanishing America, the America of the independent farm family. His family history is a lifestyle that made America work. Ken's grandfather farmed, his father farmed. But now Ken, along with thousands of other farm families across the country, are faced with the gravest trouble since the Depression. Their fight for agriculture is indeed a fight for the heart and soul of America.
We could lose the small family farmer. It seems like we're heading in that direction if something doesn't change. And I think we've had a tendency to go to larger farming operations, and I think that's the way we're going.
What do you think will happen to rural America then?
Well, naturally, it's going to have some adverse effects on it. The small rural communities like which we live in Keogh and in this area, it has a great effect on the small rural businesses that have always depended on agriculture for a livelihood, and also agribusiness. It's having its effect on that. It's taking a toll on these people, and I could foresee that possibly some of these small communities completely drying up.
When this nation was in its infancy, farming is what the majority did. It was the foundation of the country. The numbers have dwindled to about 3% of the population. Ken Orlichek is one of the minority who has decided to go ahead and till the soil one more time come spring. But he says if the situation doesn't change in a couple of years, he too may have to pull out, leaving this soil on 1,100 acres untouched. The old swimming hole. Just think warm with me as we take you back to one hot July afternoon.
There's nothing better on a hot summer day than taking a cool dip in a nice cold creek. This is Maumelle Creek near Little Rock, about 7.5 miles west of I-430 on Highway 10. As any swimming hole worth its ropes, Maumelle Grove is a proven swimming hole that folks keep coming back to ever since they learned how to swim.
How many years you been coming out here?
About 50. This place has been here ever since I can remember. It's always been a gathering place for the young people. But you can't feature now and back 50 years ago, but there wasn't much going on around here, so it was a great gathering place for the youngsters.
Tell me this, been a lot of skinny dipping going on here, hasn't there?
Well, I would think so. You could get involved pretty quick, but yes, there's been a lot of history around this place.
We came down here on Saturday and swam every Saturday afternoon and sometimes Sunday. All our friends from town came out and spent the weekend so they could play. We moved out here when I was 15, just 10. And we took baths down here because our water was short at home.
But there's more to Maumelle Grove than just swimming. Now this is what I call laid-back fishing, and it works too. Not to mention sunbathing at its best.
Yes, a country boy can survive, even in 95-degree heat. At Maumelle Grove off Highway 10 near Little Rock, Chuck Dovish, 11 Action News, Travelin
It was real refreshing then, but I wouldn't want to jump in this water now. Well, I wish we had time to show you more because the people of Arkansas are up to all sorts of things, and you never know exactly what until you travel the back roads and find out. You know, most folks, all they need is for someone to listen. And in turn, they'll open up their hearts and spill out their lives. If you enjoyed this past half hour, there is more weekdays on 11 Action News. And maybe we'll visit you next. Good night, and God bless.